Hi there, my name is Caroline Bloomer. I am a PhD candidate in the music education program from the University of Western Ontario, Canada. Today, I want to share with you part of my ongoing doctoral study that embraces a relational view in music education, exploring the idea of moments of meeting and mutual recognition as a potential tool for envisioning the subject and producing meaningful and inclusive experiences in musical contexts. As a South American white woman and non-disabled person, since 2008, I've been performing in inclusive musical environments and teaching music to individuals with developmental disabilities, many of them on the autistic spectrum. Back then, I was fortunate to be teaching in a school that adopted a transdisciplinary model of education. Such a model allowed me to get in touch with concepts from psychoanalysis and psychomotor clinic that turned my attention to the formation of the subject and the subjectivity. That turn to the subject produced expressive changes in my way to interact with the students and their symptoms. I began to consider the impact of the interactions and encounters I was having with the students, not just on their learning experiences but also on their perceptions of themselves as subjects while engaging in music making. My work aims to challenge student symptomatology, addressing difference not as a dysfunction, but as something that is part of their being and their subjective selves. Since then, I've been interested in better understand what it means to provide meaningful inclusion for individuals with intellectual disabilities, and what insights an intersubjective or relational approach could provide toward constructing meaningful inclusion. Then, for my doctoral study, I decided to explore an intersubjective framework drawing from the phenomenology of intersubjectivity and relational psychoanalysis, hoping to contribute to existing research by proposing a view of musical settings as intersubjective spaces. For this work, I collaborate with two inclusive musical programs in London, Ontario. In the large virtual open mic, people of all abilities and ages are welcome to come and share music in a way that is meaningful for them. They can play and sing a cappella, sing, play along with others, or ask for accompaniment of another participant or the leader. Dreams Come True Music Studio is an independent, inclusive musical program that offers opportunities for people of all ages and abilities as well to experience musical theater as they are able. Both programs value the uniqueness of their participants and provide them with the possibility of making and engaging with music, embracing the difference, in person or in the Zoom virtual space. While investigating those research sites, the study focuses on mutual recognition moments, called here moments of meeting, which can be defined as moments where others' subjectivities is recognized and something unique is produced by the encounter of two subjectivities. We will talk more about this in a minute. So the goals are first to investigate whether and how moments of meeting are formed and manifested through and around music within the research sites. Second, to understand the potential impact of moments of meeting on participants with intellectual disabilities experiences and how it may affect their perceptions of themselves as subjects. And finally, I also aim to look at emerging pedagogical practices such a framework of words. Therefore, the questions that are guiding my study are: 1. How and under what circumstances are moments of meeting formed within inclusive musical context through and around music? 1a. In what ways, if any, do moments of meeting impact the participation of individuals with intellectual disabilities in those contexts? B. How do participants perceive or respond to moments of meeting within those inclusive musical contexts? In what ways do specific moments of meeting impact the formation of individuals with intellectual disabilities on subjectivities, particularly in how they perceive themselves as subjects? And 3. In what ways does understanding musical contexts as intersubjective relational spaces where moments of meeting can happen inform the pedagogical practices of music educators? Now let's go for a context overview. Although many music education associations worldwide have committed to the Salamanca Statement in providing music education for every child, the development of meaningful and comprehensive practices has been slow to follow the discourse. Concerning individuals with intellectual disabilities, notions of inclusion and inclusive practices within music education still are formed mainly through dysfunctional or therapeutic lenses, resulting in students with disabilities being less included as equals among their peers in music practices and rarely seen as potential professional musicians or music teachers. Beyond reinforcing ableist discourses and neglecting social, cultural, and historical contexts, the overuse of and dependence on a deficit lens reflects a societal historical tendency to over-pathologize, infantilize, and or objectify such a group of persons, effectively diminishing their subjective and intersubjective relationships with and to the world. Considering and responding to this context, the term and concept moments of meeting was strategically adapted in my study to refer to moments where others' subjectivity is recognized within a moment of mutual recognition. To the psychoanalyst Jessica Benjamin, it is being recognized by another that we become familiar with our own intentions, distinguishing our own role in the creating meaning. In other words, we become familiar with our own subjectivity through being recognized and experiencing ourselves in the presence of another. I'm going to show you a video that got viral on YouTube in 2019, and to me, this is a good example of what it could be considered a moment of mutual recognition. Let's watch.
Did you understand it though? No. Okay. All right. Huh? Oh no, not this one. This is the grand finale of it. Yeah, that's the last one. That's what I was wondering. I don't know what they're gonna do next season because they did some stuff this time. Exactly what I was thinking. Oh yeah. Right. Don't bring that again. You know what I'm saying? Don't do the same stuff. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, I was thinking that. Yeah. Yeah. Like go somewhere else with that, but don't bring it here. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. That's what I said. And then it was like, you know what I'm saying? And I was like, what in the world? But don't do that here. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. Really? I thought the same thing. We think a lot alike, huh? Oh, that's crazy. Right.
Besides being an adorable video, we can notice that the father is recognizing the vocalizing sounds produced by his baby boy and valuing them within a conversation. At that moment, they are creating meanings together and experiencing themselves in the presence of each other. Daniel Stern and the Boston Change Process Study Group observed therapeutic process of change, studying the interactions between caregivers, parents, and nonverbal early infants. They investigated moments when the relationships between parents and infants changed or evolved from a mechanical interaction, small talk, to the point of mutual recognition between them. Something like we saw on the video when subjectivities are recognized. Exploring the concept of moments of meeting with undergrad students, Schneider and Keegan argue that when working relationally, instructors may construe intersubjective moments as appearing from out of something or as emerging from two subjectivities, thus providing opportunities for being known and encountering moments of meeting with their students within meaningful learning experiences. The idea of recognizing other subjectivities also has to do with the way we look to another person and the assumptions we construct around that. So on this table you can see some of the models used to address and engage with disability and individuals living with a disability. The interactional models such as the critical realistic perspective proposed by Shakespeare and Cooper's rhizomatic model of disability have been challenging the binary approach, medical social model, impairment disability, to embrace a pluralistic, engaged, and nuanced approach to disability. Churchill and Bernard and other music educators have been proposing views of inclusion and pedagogy more centered on students' embodied historical and personal experiences. In my study, I too aim to interplay more complex and pluralistic views of disability that allow me to engage with practice and inclusion from the perspective of the subject. This quote from Biesta: frames my desire to invite all of you to think of moments of meeting with the subject in mind, and with this emancipatory educational task that consists in arousing the desire in another human being for wanting to exist in and with the world in a grow-up way, that is, as subjects. It means that, as educators, we cannot shy away from the encounter with the subject. Christopher Small's definition of musicking may help us clarify the idea of going to the subject's encounter by embracing diverse subjective positions in the musical space. For him, to music is to take part in any capacity in a musical performance, whether by performing, by listening, by rehearsing, or practicing, by providing material for performance, what's called composition, or by dancing. This diagram summarizes the relational view proposed in the study. Considering the music environment as an intersubjective space, the subject in many or polyphonic subjective positions, and taking the relations subject to subject as an ethical way to engage with the other, creating opportunity for mutual recognition. Intending to apprehend individual, cultural, contextual, and critical perspectives of moments of meeting, this study combines critical ethnography and interpretative phenomenology as qualitative approaches, exploring moments of meeting from the outlook of research participants' lived experiences. Besides observation, field notes, and research journals, other research methods were designed to give different opportunities for the participants sharing about their experiences the way they are. The focus group for the volunteers, family members, or caregivers. The individual interview was adopted for the program leaders, and a dietic or individual interview model for the individuals with a disability. And considering a practice that was already in place in both communities, a collaborative art-based video project was designed and adapted here as a research method, offering more and diverse opportunities for participation and sharing. As this is an ongoing study, I would like to share some of my experiences with this musical community so far and some of the impressions and challenges I've been facing doing research in pandemic times. Since 2019, I've been engaged as a volunteer in both of my research sites. I was meeting people, observing the dynamics and interactions in both spots, and reflecting on my research topic and design. When the pandemic hit us in 2020, everything became uncertain, and both communities decided to move to a virtual model as everyone else. However, that decision brought a lot of questions, challenges, and fears to everyone. While we were navigating those issues, I had a chance to conduct a participatory action study with one of the groups and its leader. That pilot study was crucial to my doctoral research. That opportunity helped me closely observe and engage with the transformations that were about to happen with Dreams Come True program, and consider the transformations on the open mic, my other research spot. Next week, I will present some of the emerging outcomes from that study at the World Conference. However, considering this current study, seeing the group's capacity to create new aesthetics for musical performance, and the perception of meaningful connections and experiences happening in the virtual environment led me to embrace research in both virtual settings, trusting that moments of meeting could also happen online. Furthermore, I found out that exploring the ongoing practices in both communities to learn more and engage with people's experiences could be important. For example, the idea of having a collaborative video project incorporated into the research methods. Before I conclude, I will share 2 episodes that got my attention during the data collecting. The first one I called Songwriting and Friendship. In the virtual open mic, one of the participants, an adult man living with a disability, has developed the habit of singing only his own songs. He creates some of them when he is called to the Zoom spotlight, which means that he improvises melody, rhythm, and lyrics. The poetry and the themes seem to be an essential part of his songwriting. His best friend, a young woman living with cerebral palsy, recently moved to Calgary to stay with her family. They lived in the same care residence in London, Ontario, but suddenly the virtual open mic becomes the main place for them to get together. Since then, this young adult man started to create songs to share his feelings, stories, and things from everyday life with his best friends during the open mic Zoom sessions. It has been fascinating to observe this participant exploring songwriting to share his feelings, nourish friendship, and use and see the musical space as a place where this kind of encounters and sharings can happen. This other episode I called From Performance Anxiety to Seeing Themselves as Performers. While conducting interviews with Dreams Come True music studio participants, 2 common facts and answers got my attention. Both of the interviewers are adult women and identify themselves as persons living with a disability or a different ability. Also, both mentioned having experienced performance anxiety in their previous singing opportunities in front of an audience, even within a church environment. However, they felt differently performing in person in the last DCT concert. Both mentioned that they still have the feeling of having butterflies in their stomach, but they described that feeling as something positive, as excitement, and not like the fear and anxiety they felt before. When I asked them why they thought the feeling was different in DCT, they explained that they felt they would be admired by being themselves on the stage. Even if they made a mistake, they felt the group would support them. When I asked them if they learned something new about themselves from that experience, they told me that they passed to see themselves as singers. One of them revealed her wish to record some songs and make an album to share with her family, and the other said that she was working with a friend to write a musical and she was exploring the GarageBand in her computer to create songs and accompaniment bases by herself. Learning about those experiences made me reflect on how oppressive musical environments can be and how creating inclusive spaces where people can experience themselves in the presence of others may be important for individuals to learn what they can do and envision who they can be. Despite being fascinating to engage with people's experiences in the field, there are also some challenges, many of them related to the recruiting process. Because of technological barriers and the distance, recruitment has been an ongoing and laborious process in my study. Despite all my efforts to make the remote forms clear and accessible for everyone, some families and participants still find a hard time going through them and filling them out remotely. In that sense, my engagement as a volunteer for the last 3 years in both communities was an asset and is helping me to navigate those challenging issues. To conclude, I hope the processes, experiences, encounters, and pedagogical insights emerging from my doctoral study can contribute toward constructing meaningful and inclusive experiences in diverse musical contexts in the future. Thanks for watching.